Well, hello there and welcome back to yet another installment of And today, aren't you lucky? For this episode, which happens to be number 50, I can't believe we made it this far, we're going to be taking a look at a tongue-twisting, challenging, alternate-picking phrase that I first noticed from Mick Sweda's solo on Bullet Boy's Smooth Up In You. Oh, if you're not familiar with Mick Sweda, I highly recommend you check out his playing for Bullet Boys back in the 80s. Really interesting player, really interesting use of dominant chords and all sorts of different scales depending on what's happening with the structure of the song. So really cool phrasing. Check it out. Some of you guys might remember, I think it was a month or two ago, I posted up a video of me playing that particular song, and I stumbled across this particular adaptation of a Paul Gilbert style phrase that Mick plays, just kind of a cheeky position shift while he's moving through this alternate picking pattern. And yeah, I thought that's pretty neat. And in the nature of this channel, I thought, you know what, I could take that, make that into a bigger, longer, more challenging phrase, and then teach it to you guys. So yeah, that's what we've kind of done here. Oh, and if you don't know what I'm talking about for that Paul Gilbert kind of sequence thing, check out this rapid lick here, which I posted an eon ago, and that's kind of the crux of the Paul Gilbert mechanic that you're going to find all these shredders from the 80s make use of at some point. Alright guys, so before we get going, just a few things I want to take care of. First things first, we're going to be playing everything in good old standard tune, so grab a guitar, put it in standard tune, and we should be good to go. This entire phrase, I've designed it around A major. The reason for that is because often we don't really think to shred in a major key, and you will find that Mick Sweda on occasion does indeed like to shred a bit in the old major key, so I thought, why not? Let's give it a go. And yeah, I'm going to just assume that you know your A major scale. As long as you do, this should be pretty straightforward. Alright, let's go. Alright guys, before we get going, I'm just going to play through this entire thing one time slowly, and those of you guys with, keen ears and good knowledge of how all this works, this will probably be enough to get you up to speed with this, all right? So here we go. A major. All right. Okay, so basically all I'm doing here, guys, is I'm using that basic Paul Gilbert style phrase, which a lot of you know is 3 notes per string played twice, and then play 1 note on the string below it, and everything is alternate picked, right? So down, up, down, up, down, and then when you go to the next string, it's on a downstroke, right? And then you come back, up, down, up, and you can repeat that pattern and everything just syncs right up, okay? The only difference with the Mick Sweda version of that is instead of just doing, the static thing, which would be the typical Paul Gilbert phrase, the variation will be that instead of just doing like that, you're gonna go, okay, so you see what happened there? You play 3 notes on one string, and you play another 3 notes on the same string with a position shift, and we're alternate picking, right? So if we start with the downstroke, and we're gonna end off obviously on an even number of notes, that means we leave on an upstroke, which means our string change will be on a downstroke. And this all makes good sense, and you'll see why. When you start speeding up, these little mechanics are what are going to enable you to be quick. Okay, so this one we're thinking A major. Obviously we're going to start off A major, just root position here on the 5th fret of your E string, and we're going to go. Okay, so you follow me? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that was the position shift, okay? Then from here what you're going to do is you're going to play 1 note of the scale down below here on your A string. That's with a downstroke. And then using an upstroke, you're going to come back onto the low E string and run down the scale and up the scale in this position. So up, down, up. Okay, and you see what just happened there? We ended that on an upstroke, which means our next phrase will start with a downstroke, which is important because we're going to be doing a downstroke on a string change, which is going to make this fast. Okay, so all to get up to this point here is what we have. Okay, now what you're going to be doing here, guys, is pretty simple. We're just moving through the scale, kind of moving diagonally here. So you're just going to go to the single note that you played on the 1 string all by itself and do this entire phrase again, but starting in that spot. We're just going to move through A major. Okay, so now we're starting here, which of course is the E note located on the 7th fret of your A string. And yeah, we're just gonna move on through this. Okay, so all together. yep, rocket science here, guys. You know exactly what we're going to do. String change now on the downstroke, and we're continuing on through this phrase. Yep, rocket surgery, carry on. I will say when you get to this point, you will notice that I'm using my my middle finger here. So let me just play up to this point, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, and the reason for that is I just find it's a little bit easier at speed to grab that. So experiment and see what works for you, but I'm finding for me this is allowing me to access the speed I need to get this done. Anyway, so all the way up to there, here we go. Okay, and then of course we're going to be jumping on now to the B string, and we're going to be starting off the phrase again with a downstroke, and you got it. We're just running through this scale. Okay. Okay, so all the way up to that point, here we go. And then to finish things off, guys, I'm just going to be coming over here onto my high E string. And ending like that, okay? So, again, just jumping on the high E string, down, up, down, and then maybe a big bend. Come back and resolve to A because we're in A major, and that'll sound just fine, okay? Now, one thing I will say on the last phrase, you will notice when I get to this point here, you'll see that I changed, instead of using my pinky, I'm using my ring finger. I just find it helps me get my index finger over here onto the seventh, right below the A note on the high E string a little bit quicker. But again, experiment, see what works best for you, and just practice that, and you'll get this up to speed in no time. Oh, you want to know about that weird thing I did at the end there after the big bend? Okay, so yeah, if you want to do exactly what I did at the end, let me see, I think I went something like that, right? All right, so if you want to play that, all I'm going to be doing is grabbing at the I guess it'd be the 19th fret, bending it up to the 21st, so that would be your C sharp, like that, and you can verify it right there, right? And when I release it, I'm just going to run down the A major scale again, with a bit of a slide back here to the 14th fret, and then just play the A twice, so I got that kind of thing going on, right? Okay. And then from there, this is a bit of a country lick actually. I've been listening to a lot of Cheap Trick lately, and this is something Rick Nielsen does on occasion. Basically all I'm going to do here is I'm doing a bit of a weird bend. I've got my index finger on the 12th fret of the high E, and I've got my middle finger on the 13th fret of the B. And I'm going to play these together, and I'm going to bend the 13th fret up to the 14th ever so slightly. That kind of thing, right? So essentially, I'm playing a bit of a dyad here, which is kind of outlining A major. And of course, we're doing A major, so this makes perfect sense. I do that twice. Okay. And then from there, all I'm going to do is a just plain and simple sweep through A major. And end it like that. Here's an alternate thing you could do if you wanted. After your thing there, you could just come up here and do like a hammer-on pull-off from the 12th fret to the 17th on the E. And then just go through your sweep again if you like. That also works. But again, this is all bonus stuff. Realistically, once you finish the phrase, you know, just end on an A, you're good. Okay? All right. Okay, let's play through that at speed. All right, guys, there you have it. One Mick Sweda style alternate picking sequence shred run thing. Again, this is obviously an adaptation of Paul Gilbert's kind of style and phrasing that he was using back in the 80s, but again, everybody kind of has their own version of this sort of pattern. Really useful, really cheeky. I find it's just a little bit varied. It's a bit awkward to do that shift, especially in a major key. In some spots, it's a bit tricky with the fingers. Big stretches, but I mean, Mick Sweda was playing lots of big stretches. I mean, what's the other one? Something like that. Yeah, he likes the big spread out patterns. So yeah, this is pretty indicative of the kind of thing he'd probably come up with. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did find this useful, if you did learn anything, please consider hitting like and subscribe and help my channel grow a little bit. And as usual, just keep on shredding. We will talk to you in the next video. Bye for now. Hold on, we'll do this again.